Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Don't see what's yours for the taking tonight. Ooh, show me your soul, baby. I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Can't you see it's way past time? How explicit do I have to be? I mean, I spell it out before you get it, baby. Show me your soul, and honey, I'll show you. I'll show you.
Good morning, everybody. Yep, that's right. You're like, is his face looking a little bit rough today? Sure is. Let me just tell you something. Yesterday, you remember I told you I woke up 30 minutes early. I got up at 4:15 instead of 4:44. So it's 29 minutes. 444 is my angel number. So I set my clock for that every morning. But today, I did what I heard on a podcast the other day not to do, and that was hit the snooze button. Shaking my head. I hit the snooze button and woke up 10 minutes after 5 o'clock. So I'm running around. You know how that is, right? I did it to myself. And anyway, so that's where I'm at this morning. I didn't have a chance. I'm sorry, looking rough. I'll be ready for Monday, though. You best believe. Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your unshaven host, Lauren Michaels Harris, and I wouldn't rather be anywhere else in the world except maybe Fiji than right here with each and every one of you. Our theme this year is show me your soul and I'll show you mine. Now, that's a pretty one. Now just think about that. Let that one just permeate for a second. Let it percolate. Okay. It sounds easy, but you got to have a lot of things in place to be able to authentically expose your soul to the world and then invite them to expose theirs to you. But we're going to talk about that today and a whole bunch of other things with my guest, Harrison KLIEN. I don't really have much of a monologue this morning. It's been a great week. It's beautiful, sunny weather here in Chicagoland. How are things shaping up in your neck of the woods? And Monday, I do have one thing I want to get out of the way. Starting next week, it's our second ever Celebrity Week. We have 5 celebrities lined up. You remember last time, I think it was in October of last year, we had Celebrity Week. We had Teresa Griffin, the winner of The Voice, Andre Rush, the White House chef, Virginia Rose Hodges, La Dolce Vita. She's a what are these people? Photographer to the stars, celebrity photographer. She was there, and Dr. Tranquility. You might remember her from The View, and she writes monthly for publications like Red Book and Cosmo. They were all here. We had a great time. Anthony Trucks, the football player, was also here. So we have another celebrity week, but next week, my celebrities are 5 people who are celebrities inside of the entertainment world of purpose. Okay. Now, what I'm saying about that is they may not be the people you've seen sitting next to Ellen or that sort of thing. Doesn't mean they soon won't be. They are people that I feel are just about that far away from the globe knowing their names. And I wanted to get them here to share celebrity insight, which means the stars, not stargazers. These are trailblazers. So mark your calendars, won't you, and join me next week, Monday through Friday, a different star, a different celebrity every day at 8 a.m. Central. So there's the bell of purpose. What does that mean when you hear it ring? That's a call to action, y'all. That does not mean that the microwave is ready or that the tea or coffee is ready. It means that the content is up and crack-a-lacking. It's in the middle of the road. It may look like roadkill, but you might want to slow up, back up, take a look at it, throw it in the trunk, and take it home with you. So when you hear that bell ring, it means that Harrison, one of you out there has put a comment in, even me, and one of my infamous senior moments here on Bathrobe Moments may say something that's worthy of a second walk around. But just remember, when you hear the bell, be a part of something bigger than yourself, greater than yourself. It's the way to start everything. Share this out. Invite someone. You won't regret it, and they will thank you later. Okay, so who is this guy, Harrison KLIEN? Who is he? Who is he? He's an award-winning personal growth transformationalist, wealth. I got stuck on that. Love it. Wealth and business consultant. He says that his mission is to personally change 1 million lives across the globe to support entrepreneurs and others in achieving the very best versions of themselves. And I want to get in that one right there from the top today. So he's got a whole bunch of different things that he does, and we'll get to most of them. But I thought I would give you a little peek into, what he sounds like when he's doing his thing, right? So I went, you know me, I'll dig up some stuff on people. I'm the Chicago version of TMZ, okay? The living, breathing in National Enquirer. I'm just kidding. But I did scrounge up something that I can share with you. I think you're going to enjoy it. So let's take a look at Mr. Harrison. Here we go. Here's a little something. Here he is.
Coming into fruition. And this is part of what the
I want to put in the comments. Can you guys hear that?
Well, but even more so at this point.
I can't hear it. Wait a minute. I'm coming back. Can you guys hear it? Harrison, could you hear that? Shake your head. I can see you. You could hear it? Okay, I'm going back. Okay, here we go. Okay. I got something's going on with mine. I can't wait to get to NBC where they have people doing all this for me. I'm not lazy. I'm just not techie. Don't judge. This is a judgment-free zone. Okay, I'm going back. I'm going back over. I'm 58, y'all. I played Pong and Ping. What was it? What was that? Pong. Remember Pong, the Atari game? Pong and Miss Pac-Man. That's about as techie as this boy gets. So just let me get in here. Okay, I'm going to do it again. The Lord be with me. Help me get this. Okay, there we go. And his name is Harrison KLIEN. And there it is. And I'm just going to let it play. Take a listen.
Every single day in my travels, in my students, in my conversations, I see people waking up. Even at dinner, we were talking about just an experience where she was with some people, and in a very short amount of time, you could just see their face change. Their eyes get softer, their cheeks get softer, their skin becomes more radiant, and they become much more alert. The shamanization of humanity will result in a hyper alertness, internal alertness.
Okay, I don't know where he stopped because I couldn't hear a word. I was trying to read his lips, but my eyes, you know. And that's another thing. I got a hearing test coming up in April because I'm tired of my husband telling me I talk too loud. What? Anyway, you guys get your hands together, put your hearts on the screen, and put your hearts into this interview. Can I ask you to do that? Give me 15 undivided minutes, and I guarantee you 50 undivided minutes, as long as Harrison is in the house. Pay attention, take notes, ask questions, be engaging. You won't regret it. This guy has so much knowledge, so much experience, so much to give, and loves to give it. So be ready to receive it. Okay, here we go, you guys. Let's do it. Put your hands together. Let's welcome to the stage, Harrison KLIEN. Okay, Harrison.
Good.
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm terrific, amazing, phenomenal, outstanding, incredible, awesome, turned on, tuned up, tweaked, authentic, resplendent, opulent, all good things, inspired and happy.
Nice try. You know what you threw in there. You thought I wasn't going to catch it? I heard you say turned on, and I saw your lovely wife. That's your wife, right?
Yes.
I saw her peek in earlier, so I understand that turned on part, even though that's a tree I don't bark up.
That happens all the time, yeah.
And she's so pretty.
She is pretty, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lucky man.
Yes, you are. Well, she's lucky too. She's blessed as well because, I believe in that term, evenly yoked, and happiness is based on that in all things, not just people and relationships, but opportunities and decisions should be evenly yoked with where you're at in your journey. So, Harrison, I barely scratched the surface as far as all the things you've done. So why don't you take a minute or two and just fill in between the lines, if you would, for me and for the audience about who you are. I know you've written a crap load of books, and just tell us what's your jam? What's your jam, you know?
Sure. Well, I guess you have to start a little bit by the fact that, right now is not the same as the history of where I've come from. But in my current situation is I have businesses and I have teachings that I do. I'm a speaker, author, presenter, events creator, and so on and so forth.
Don't forget Mac Daddy.
Mac Daddy.
You are a Mac Daddy.
I'm a Mac Daddy, yes. So I do all those Mac Daddy things.
I know. I saw it on there. I saw it. It's a family show though, so I didn't bring any of that in.
You see these guys behind me? There's some superheroes, and there's Einstein, and there's the I am effect. Those are things that I do. I taught Einstein everything he knows. So
did you really?
Yeah, I was his spirit guide back in another life. But okay, I work with people to really create shifts, small shifts to make big changes. And ultimately that is in their business, in their personal lives, in their psychology, in their metaphysics, in their spiritual quests, in their health, in their parenting, in their children experiences. We empower and I empower people to higher consciousness, bigger levels of accomplishment, and tremendously greater fulfillment. And that's part of what the whole process of being alive is. Basically, we grow and we share our growth.
And let me guess, you do all that before 10 a.m. every day?
Every day, before 5 a.m.
Oh, what time do you get up, by the way, every day?
I'm not an early riser. I'm a very late upper, so I don't go to sleep till about 3 o'clock most nights. And I get up at 9. So I don't need a lot of sleep, maybe 5 or 6 hours. That's fine.
Wow. So Harrison, tell us when you got started. Give us a little backstory. Where'd you grow up? What was the world like for you as a young person when the person you are today had started being formed, and you just didn't even have a clue that he would end up looking and being like the man that we're looking at on the screen?
All right. Well, my story is I'm a miracle child. I actually am a miracle child. So, if you want to go into a destiny portion, my father and mother were really Holocaust survivors. They went through every possible kind of heinous torture that that the Nazis could put them through. My mother was raped maybe 20 more times. My father was shot in the leg. He never quite healed right. and they were separated for 8 years during World War II, and they hadn't seen each other, and they didn't know whether each other was alive. My mother was walking down the street in Munich, Germany. She was at that point, she was like she had a little ice cream business, and she was selling ice cream on the street. And a man who she didn't know walks up to her and says, "Are you Helen KLIEN?" And she says, "Yes." And he says, "Well, I know a man who keeps your picture above his bed." And he took her to my mother. So they hadn't seen each other in 8 years. They were reunited in Germany. I was the result of that miracle. And I came out, believe this or not, 7 months later, at least. So I was a premature baby.
Me too.
Yeah, and I was a premature baby. And, that started a whole kind of cycle of things. My parents came to America in 1949, but they were both sort of, kind of amputated souls. They were always in survival mode, or afraid of everything. They had no skills, no marketing skills, no ability to do anything. So, and they didn't speak the language when they came to U.S. So they had 2 kids and no money and no skills to speak of. So they built a life basically with their own 2 hands. My mother worked sometimes 2-3 jobs at a time. My father was a factory worker, basically, who was very low key. So I'll tell you the essence of my story. I'll give you the short version, basically. Our household was full of fear, and so we were always in survival victim mode, and there was nothing but pain going on. They stayed together perhaps out of spite, or just to keep me alive, or keep it alive, or whatever. And basically, I was in my mother's kitchen when I was about 4 years old. My father and my mother were arguing, and they were having a really violent spat. My mother was emasculating my father really, really drastically. And my father, who was a very low-key guy and sort of depressed most of the time, not very articulate, not very kind of vivacious in any way, hardly spoke much at all. And my mother was emasculating him, and he lost it for the first and only time in my life that I ever saw him lose it. He grabbed my mother by the throat and put her up against the wall. And I was already used to all this pain and this fighting in the house at that point. And when he did that, I feared not only for my mother's life, but for my life. Yeah. And I went into autism. I said, I don't want to have any part of this. If this is life, I don't want to live. I don't want to have anything. I don't want to see. I don't want to know. I don't want to have any of this stuff. And I retreated into what today they call autism. I mean, I became dark in every way.
Because it hadn't been diagnosed yet. I mean, they didn't have a name for it back then.
Right. But all the symptoms were there. So today I understand the symptoms and all that. But, went into darkness. There was my awareness was shut down. My body became numb. My eyesight became very it had like double film, like looking through wax paper. It was like it had a film on my eyes. I could hardly see anything, and that's because I didn't want to see anything based on all this fear and survival. And
wait a minute. Now, how old were you at the time?
4 or 5.
And this physical thing, manifestation was actually a thing.
Instantaneously, it just went dark. The whole world went dark for me. And
are you speaking literally or figuratively?
Literally.
So what did they call that?
Well, it's autism. It was autism. Yeah.
Who knew?
So what we don't know about autism is that really it's a fear-based reality with stimuluses that you can't handle. So my eyes has shifting kind of levels of things, and you're getting stimuluses from things that are multidimensional. So, I could hear about every third word a person was saying, like a bad cell phone. I could see only through this film. I didn't actually see any distinctions or clarity in the same way that I could see you now, where I can distinguish your features. I couldn't distinguish your features before. My body was what Eckhart Tolle calls a pain body. And that is whenever anybody came within 6 or 8 feet of me, I would experience stabbing pains in my ribs. So nobody could touch me. I couldn't I didn't hardly have a conversation with anybody till I was 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Then one particular day, I'm in my 20s, late 20s, probably 27, 28 years old. I'm sitting in, an apartment in Cleveland, Ohio, about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sketching my apartment, doing a still life on a sketch pad.
Okay.
And because I was in art school at the time, and without warning, suddenly I was just yanked out of my body, taken into a white tube of light, and was sent spinning through the universe at a velocity beyond comprehension. I was having clouds coming at me, patterns coming at me, kinds of colors coming at me, all kinds of different things. And I was watching planets birth and die, and the galaxies spin, and I'm moving at this incredible velocity, probably faster than the speed of light. All these things are happening to me, and I am, I'm hearing choirs of angels, at least what I now interpret to be choirs of angels in the background, and it's unearthly kind of music I've never heard on before or since. And when I was deposited back in my body, it was with a thud, and I'm right there, bam. And now I'm totally healed, and there's no more autism. I have enhanced senses.
Well, wait a minute. How old were you when the healing happened?
28.
So from 4 to 28, you were autistic.
That's right.
And then at 28, so now do you consider yourself still autistic, or is that a thing of the past?
No, that's totally a thing of the past. So when I was deposited back in my body, everything was gone. Not only was I healed, I could, my eyesight was clear. In fact, my eyesight was enhanced. I could actually see the pulsations of colors. So I could see the different pulsations of reds, blues, greens, grays, whatever. The carpet was pulsating, the drapes were pulsating. It was like an acid trip, sort of.
Well, I was just going to say, I experienced all that, except mine was in the front row of a Grateful Dead concert. And it really happened. I never went back in.
That happened with mushrooms later on.
Yes. So Harrison, let's get right to it. Because I noticed in your LinkedIn profile, you have an entire laundry list in there of things that you do, a combination of implementations that you apply when working with people to help them discover this. And I had to underline it because you hear it a lot. But I got a question for you about this, helping people find the very best versions of themselves.
Sure.
How do you take them to a place, or us to a place, where most of us don't even know what that looks like? Explain that to us. And then go into how you interweave metaphysical laws. Let's just get that in there so people can understand what's riding sidecar on this entire process of yours.
Okay, so basically I implement a lot of sort of transcendent technologies, and I have a metacognition around things. So we all have cognitions about things. We all have, cognitive biases in different forms about anything. We prejudice our ideas and our thoughts prior to experiencing anything. So we have an opinion before we go into anything. We have to neutralize what any of those pre-thoughts are about anything in order for us to experience the best version of ourselves, so that we can unleash our soul. So anything that is a limiting belief, anything that is an opinion that you have not directly experienced, needs to be the charge, or the electrical charge needs to be taken off of that. Go ahead, Lauren.
I just want to tell you, you hit the magic word. Whenever a guest, well, I'm kind of giving it up now if I say it. Well, there's probably no future guests watching. You said the word soul, and that's our theme. It's inside of our theme.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do because of that today is take a $50 donation and apply it to your choice of nonprofit. So you can provide me with that information later.
Sure.
Okay, that's on the behalf of Bathrobe Moments. Go on with your story. So, wait, but I got to tell you something, though. We got a rule here, too, that you clearly, no one gave you the memo. No fair using words with more than 6 letters. Clearly, public school right here. I'm just saying. You said something meta, something. I was like, what? Break it down. I'm just kidding. But I want you to, get into it. And did you study all this stuff? Did you go get degrees? Was this a part? Did you come back like in that movie Flatliners? They went somewhere, you know, when their heart stopped, but when they came back, they brought something with them. Did you bring something back with you after this out of body experience?
Absolutely. I brought not only my former state, my former self. Did we lose each other here?
I'm just giving you the floor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. What I brought with me was a whole new level of consciousness. It was what the Japanese call a satori. It was a sudden enlightenment, if you will. And what I brought back was a whole new being. I was not the same being after that experience than all the 28 years prior to that moment. You know, I could hear things 20 yards away clearly that I couldn't hear across a table a moment before that. I could see things clearly and make out the pulsations of rhythms of vibration. My body was attuned to experiencing empathy for all things. In other words, I could sense the aliveness of all things, and I was hyper alert. So what I brought back was sort of this transcendent experience whereby time had collapsed itself into the moment. There was no more past, there was no more future. I was just here and now. And the self, all that portion that I had been imaged both by society, my parents, my friends, my teachers, my bosses, all those autistic experiences that people labeled me as was absolutely gone. And I was simply in the alert state of being. And in that alert state of being, then, you know, I began to understand that I had a mission, that I didn't go through 28 years of autism for nothing, that you know, there was a purpose in coming back here and coming back to this state. Can't hear you. There's no sound.
That's just like on the Prudential commercials. You know how they always show people on, I did it, whatever. So I told you guys I'm not techie. I told you I can't wait to get to NBC. So I don't have to worry about that stuff. Listen, you said come back. So that means that you believe you went somewhere. What would you call that place that you visited? And throw this one in there too, 2 for 1 right here. A lot of people would say, well, it sounds like Harrison was abducted by aliens and then brought back here. Have you talk about that? And because you said that something stuck out to me when you were explaining what happened when you came back, how you could see, you said pulse. And I remember A Course in Miracles?
Yes.
And they talk about that, how if you know, if you do it right, you can see the energy in a leaf hanging on a tree and all that. Was that the thing? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Exactly. I could see the energy in things, right? Yes.
So where do you think you went, and what happened to allow you? What happened, and how come you? How come not Ida Mae Ferguson down the street? How come it was you?
I have no answer for how come me. You know, it was a gift of grace. It wasn't anything that I did. Basically, the only thing that I did, I knew that in the 24 years that I was autistic, I prayed continuously to be released from this state because it was very hellish. It was dark, and I couldn't hear, I couldn't see, I couldn't feel very well about anything. So where I went when all this was like this great eruption, like the Big Bang, all this 24 years of suppressed energy got released in one instant. And where I went was into the great void of transcendence, into the great void of beingness. And there was nothing there except energy and intelligence and this sea of silence, which was absolutely beautiful. You know, even though it was black and there wasn't anything there and we were in this space, it was incredibly beautiful. The feeling was transcendental, if you will. That's a 6-letter word, but it was amazing.
I know. Yeah. Well, my husband is a PhD, so trust me, I only do that so that he when I tune out, he thinks it's because I can't understand words. It's more than 6 letters, but I'm just tuning out. So anyway, let me ask you something, because I had a similar experience, but not so similar. I don't think it was as depth, so far deep inside of what you're expressing, but I did have something in the last year where that happened, and I felt like I had been, you know, when you see someone jump out of a plane, and they're in that flat position where they're just
Yeah.
before they, well, it was like that, but it was completely devoid of color, but it's almost like I could hear color. It was
Yeah.
almost like I could smell color. And it
That's
was
right.
so silent and peaceful, but I didn't feel alone. It was just it was the opposite of everything I was afraid of. It was more of everything I thought I was in love with. And bottom line, it came to this. I asked out loud, where am I? What is this?
Exactly. That's the first thing that you ask when you come out. Yes.
And so they said, you have just experienced what is known, Lauren, as the oneness.
Yes.
That's
Right.
what I was told. And
Yeah.
so let's go here. When you came back, did you notice anything that that wasn't with you anymore? Did it remove, because once you see something, you cannot unsee it. Once you hear something, you cannot unhear it. So coming back from that experience, did people start saying stuff? Because this happened with me. Ever since you went to Utah, something's different, Lauren. Ever since, and they were saying it the first couple months, like they thought it was going to wear off.
Yeah, of course.
And it never has.
Never has. Right.
So what was your experience when people saw the new version of you? Did they know, or did you have to put them up on it?
Well, I didn't tell anybody. When you heard this voice that says, you've experienced the oneness, blah blah blah. The very first voice that I heard coming out of this basically was, tell no one of this experience. So that was my guides, if you want to call it that. It said, tell no one of this experience. So I just went about my life. And as I said, I hardly had a conversation with anybody till I was 30 years old. So, so all this time I was a good student. I could read, but I could not have any kind of, and remember well, but I could not have conversations. I couldn't be in a room with living creatures of any sort, not dogs, not animals, not people. It was all terrible to me and kind of, disrupted internally. So I didn't have friends. I didn't have, any kind of experience whereby I had people to talk to. My parents and my brother pretty much were the only conversations I had. Those weren't really conversations. They were, what do I have to do? And and in the public was, how much does this cost? Was basically my conversation with whatever I had to do. Basically, I was silent. Nobody. But the people that did know me, like in art school and other things like that, said, "Yes, you're different. What's going on? What's going on? Did anything happen?" Blah blah. And I said, I had to say, no. I just, I'm just feeling differently than I did before. That's all. So, and I didn't reveal it. I didn't talk to anybody. But a whole new life began for me. From that point on, not only was I conversational, I was vivacious. I had all this, about 1,000 times more energy than I had in the autistic state, and that energy was purposeful. And again, I didn't go through those 28 years of autism for nothing.
Speaking of purposeful, so when you came back, did you feel like you knew why this had happened? Did you see
Yes.
a clearer mission ahead of you?
Yes. My mission was clear.
Talk about that.
My mission was clear that I am a way shower. I'm a way shower to love, and that what I do basically enhances the experience of love for other people. And the very moment, about a quarter of a second prior to this experience, this massive explosion, like a big bang in me, the only thought that I had is, what if all of this pain is really some part of love? And that's what at that moment the whole thing triggered. But but I can't acknowledge that as the reason it triggered, but because it was basically a gift of grace. You don't get stimulated in that way by yourself. I had no mentors. I had no books that I referred to. I didn't even believe in God, none of that stuff. Now you can't convince me otherwise. So the experience was really metaphysical, or at least it was transcendent. It took me to other dimensions, took me to other experiences of life that are invisible for most people. It's also gave me a perspective that I could never have had. And I see, Schopenhauer said, you understand yourself to the extent that you understand that everybody else is you. And that's what happened. You began to see that everybody was me, that everything was going on and created from me, not to me. that life was happening from me, that I was the progenitor of all life that I experienced.
Oh
And
my goodness.
it was
My,
sort of like a Christ consciousness.
I got to butt in. I just got to butt in because you just almost hit my mantra word for word. It's right here on my intention pin, which is, and this is what I've always been told, through me, not from me.
Yeah.
So everything comes to me on its way through me. I'm merely the whistle stop for the
That's
universe.
right. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And my job is to keep my fingerprints, put as few of my own fingerprints or DNA on my gift to the world, because it's not about me.
That's right.
It's not about me. Okay. When we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I want to ask you about, number one, how you dealt with and still deal with people when you speak what you've been sharing with us here, and they're looking at you like he done lost his cotton picking mind. And I want to know, when you came back, just like with near-death experiences, they always say, there was that moment where I did not want to return. It was that wonderful. I want to find out and have you speak to that if you could. Have you ever had that feeling, or maybe a dream or something, where you kind of returned to the moment? We'll get into that and much more when we return. We'll be back in just a minute. I'm only going to do one commercial, you guys, because I don't want to waste any more time on selling today, but I got to make sure I get my commitment out there. The 4 agreements say, be impeccable with your word. So that's what I'm doing here. We'll be back in 1 minute. Don't you go away.
Okay.
I just want to thank each and every one of you for sharing your soul and sharing your life and your morning with us here on Bathrobe Moments. And thank you for being a sponsor, Intention Pin, of Bathrobe Moments. I thank you from the bottom of my soul to the tip of my heart. And here's my Intention Pin yet again, through me, not from me. Every one of these elements I chose with the producers, Eric and his father, over at intentionpin.com. Then they bless the pin and pour intention into it before they ship it to you. I promise you, I kid you not, every intention that I have set since January 3rd with this pin came true before the month of January was gone. Every single one of them. So I am telling you, what you believe is what you get. Okay? So get over to intentionpin.com and set some intentions. You won't be sorry.
Commercial, and what a great commercial, and what a great yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you. I made that commercial.
That was sensational. I loved it. Every moment of that was like, wow.
It's supposed to be an experience. That's what I
It was an experience. It was a great experience.
Thank you for that, Harrison.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that is the John Hancock at the end. It says, because every
that was really interesting that you put that in right at the signature portion.
Yeah, because every signature, it's the most famous signature, John Hancock. Can I get your John Hancock? But every signature should mean something, because your signature is your name, and your name is who you are.
That's
and
right.
So, I just try to connect the dots back to the spirit, to the soul. So Harrison, did you, when you returned, did you feel like it was harder to be back here now because you had experienced this thing, or what did it do for you? What did it?
Suddenly it was easy. Suddenly there was fear in me because I was afraid of losing it, and because I'd never experienced anything like that before. So the first reaction was I was afraid of losing this. What is this thing? I walked around.
Oh, is it going to go
What
away or
is
wear off?
I've never seen anything like this. I've never experienced anything like. I didn't know this existed. I didn't know I existed, and I had no conception of what the world was like prior to that moment. That there were other worlds and other realities that I could experience. I wasn't into drugs. I wasn't into anything like that at that point. I had no conception that there was anything outside of this physical experience of pain and guilt and shame and hurt and unawareness.
So pretty much you thought the world was flat.
Worse than flat, I thought it was bumpy.
Okay.
And everything was a bump.
So why do you think today you were instructed, Harrison, don't tell anyone of this? Because clearly you now either have been given permission or you said, I'm going to do what I want to do because you're telling us. So did something come back and say, now you can talk about it?
Yes, sort of. Yes. Now, yes. After about 30 years of it, it said, now I could talk about it. It said, now you are to teach.
Because
right?
you were the student.
Yeah.
You weren't ready to teach.
Right.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you pick up along those 30 years that made you, that you believe gave you the green light to come on now and share with those of us like us here today, all of this and more? How
I just the technologies of being able to channel energy. So, it isn't me. It just is happening again, like through me, not to me. But it's just that, if I have an intention that I have a student or I have a client that needs something dramatically, I can share an energy that will help enhance that experience within them. So I just let that go and I let that happen. So, like in the Karate Kid things, he rubs his hands together and his hands heat up and he puts them on somebody and the hands have the energy and it heals a particular portion. So that is because you can channel the energy coming through you. We have these chakras that come in through your crown, and as you understand your body more and as you understand the universe better, you can address people on an intellectual level. You can address them on an emotional level. You can address them on a logical level. You can address them on an action level, and all those things. You begin to see what works and what doesn't. So it's not about going through life in terms of finding out what's in front of you or what you're trying to do or any of that kind of stuff. It's about what works and what doesn't work.
Those choices, those decisions.
Part of it is decision.
Well, because there's really only two. There's the choice you made and there's the one you didn't.
There's also the observation, being the observer. So there's
as opposed to the participant.
Yes.
So the spectator. That's a great place to transition right here. Let's segue into, I saw something that you also include inside of your teaching where you have this thing called advanced psychological genius blueprinting. I had never heard anything like that. And I'm just really excited for you to explain that to us. What is this genius blueprinting? Because I could use some of that.
Well, all geniuses,
clearly
in the background, I don't know if you can see, but I have a picture of Einstein. All geniuses, Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So all geniuses are people who basically challenge assumptions. So the blueprint is that you come into the place of where you find what Elon Musk calls first principles. Marcus Aurelius also found it as first principles. So first principles are you boil something down to what is the most fundamental cause of any single thing. The single most fundamental cause of experiencing or having or creating any single thing. And when you can find that one thing, then you can be the power that moves whatever that is. That's how spaceships are created. That's how, electric cars are created. That's how cell phones are created. That's how communication and satellites are created, where you can have a signal. And I talk to somebody in Australia, fairly frequently, almost every day, and that's over 10,000 miles away. And the signal has to come from my phone into a satellite that's 200 miles above the earth and bounce back over across the globe and into his cell phone. And I can hear him in real time. And it's all because there's energy and intelligence up there. So part of the whole process is to understand what that energy and that intelligence is and to use it because you are it. Again, you are it. So,
Right.
so as you understand that you are it, you then gain the ability to connect with whatever that is. And if everything is coming from you, you have the right to move it one way or the other. So
is that a birthright? Would you consider that a birthright?
it is a birthright when you're natural. We got moved out of that as we come through the birth canal, and then as we come through our conditioning, when people tell us who we are and what our names are, and other things like that, and they foist images on us about how we're supposed to behave and everything else. They don't. We lose that self to the idea, to the conceptual, but in the natural space, there is no concept. There is just the observation of what is in the moment. And so it's not based on concept. It's not based on memory.
So when you're working with, let's say, with corporate America, and you bring in these things like metaphysical laws, which is like science, I guess. But then when you get into what a lot of people refer to as woo-woo, like your trip away and back. How do you respond to questions or comments, pushback, if you will, from audiences or just anyone that you're sharing with when you're having that conversation with a person who is on the other side? You're speaking to them, if you will, over what I refer to as religious barbed wire. Yeah. Because they've been, it's been drummed in, and it's very difficult for them to unlearn what they've been forced to learn. So how do you guide people through those bumpy waters of religious indoctrination in order to see some of the things, the possibilities that you've been talking about here today? The first thing that I tell them is not to believe a single word I say. That test it out. Test out what I say. Okay, don't take my word for it. Don't take my word. Get out there and get out there and see if what I'm saying works one way or the other. If it doesn't work, discard it. If it does work, then you've learned something new and you've worked. So what's your first call to action for a person like that? Because I bet you there's a bunch watching right now. So when you say get out there, it depends on what the issue is. So it depends on what the issue, but for most people, when they have problems or when they have things that they need to resolve one way or the other, 80% to 90% of it is about self-image. It's about something going on with them. It's not about what's going on out there. So we try to trace the cause of how we feel about what the problem is. So when we trace back to the cause of how we feel about the problem, we realize that we're putting out some vibration or some idea, concept ahead of the problem for it to even exist in our experience. So once we start to do that, now we can say, okay, well, what if we change this just a little bit? Like, here's a new intention, and see if that makes any difference in your reaction or your experience of it. So, we also do what we call pattern interrupts. So when people are really stuck in a thing, you interrupt the pattern of that because their energy is frozen in a particular way. So we want to loosen the hinges because it's like a rusty hinge on a window. You want to loosen that. So you take a look at both sides of an issue. You take a look at the positive and the negative, the positive and negative. You immerse yourself in one side and then on the other side, now one side and then the other side. And as you do that, you're actually loosening the rust on that situation, so that at one point you can come into the point of where the positive and the negative collapse into the neutral, and you can pull the hinge off the window, and now you have the freedom to experience things differently. And do people confuse you? Do people mistake you and put, aren't you a professor? I was. I know. Yeah. I know. I feel guilty for not having my homework done. I'm not kidding. Well, I know your dog ate it. Your dog ate the paper. How many letters in that word? What's that? Dog ate. How many letters in that word? Did you just break the rule? 3. The dog ate. See, I'm like, there's another big word. Oh, okay, yeah, I know that's.
No, your dog ate your homework.
Yes, yes, yes.
When
Our
I was
cats.
teaching in public school,
Our
when I was
cats.
teaching in public school, I can't tell you how many kids.
How many times you heard that? I was never that dumb. I blamed it on my mom spilling coffee on it. So listen, there's a really great event coming up, right? April
Yes.
2nd through the 4th. Shift happens. I had to enunciate because I don't want somebody to say, did you hear what he
You
said?
do, yes.
But shit happens too. So shift happens, small shifts, big changes. What is this all about? What can people expect to walk away with? And kind of take us through the Reader's Digest of the itinerary for those 3 days. And why is it so important that we get there as we move deeper inside year 2 of this pandemic? And then I want your take on what you feel is really the reason we have this pandemic. Because I know you got a theory. I can feel it.
I absolutely have a theory.
I know.
We'll play with that. Okay. So
I'm going to let you run with it. I'm going to go sit back here.
Okay, so the event, April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, is called Small Shifts, Big Changes. Now, small shifts, there are many ways to change. But really, there are only 4 basic ways to change a human being. And if you want to change, you want to make some sort of a new experience from something, or you want to change something from one experience and transition it into another experience. Hi, Virginia. You want to transition it into another experience. You have to go through either your self-image. You have to go through a belief system, a change in belief system. We change through constructing new self-images. We change through creating new beliefs and being willing to create new beliefs. We change through the shock element, where we get to our threshold point where we say, absolutely no more. I can't do anything. I've got to be different than this, or I've got to experience things differently. And we change through inspiration. Now, small shifts, big changes are one small shift can make a gigantic difference. It sets up a precession, what Buckminster Fuller called a precession in the world, which means that the butterfly effect, where a butterfly's flapping of a butterfly's wings can, in point of fact, move the wind into a tsunami in Japan. Things like that. So it sets up a continuum and a momentum, and it sets up a disturbance so that, the ripples of whatever that small shift happens to be becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and grows on itself. So the event is about small shifts, big changes, inspirational nuggets that make a difference, that can change people as quickly as possible. So we give every single speaker is going to give at least 3 different ways to make transformation happen for somebody as quickly as possible. So that's going to be in the business area. That's going to be in psychological area, in parenting and relationships and health, in children empowerment, and so on and so forth. Every speaker is going to give at least 3 different ways to make a small shift to make a big change.
So which one of you have a lot of speakers, don't you, over 3 days?
And there'll be almost 80 speakers, approximately
Almost
80 speakers.
80 speakers. Wow. And which one of those 80 are you most looking forward to hearing?
Well, I have headliners that I'm close to. So John DeMartini is a headliner.
Wrong answer. Okay. Well, Harrison had to go. Let's give him a try again. You want to try that again?
Sure.
Again, question. Which speaker are you most looking forward to hearing?
Me.
Wrong answer. He's getting one more shot.
Who?
Last time. Hello.
Give me who? What are you talking about?
Did you not just ask me yesterday to be a speaker at this event?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Can I have some ego every now and then? Would it kill you to give me 5 inches, Harrison? I'm just kidding. Wait, that did not sound right.
I'm sorry. I was on the uptake.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. Nobody's recording this, right? Anyway, I'm kidding. I'm just honored to be there because your lineup is just incredible. It is like full speed ahead, locomotive, Cannonball Express of content from beginning to end. Why are you doing this, and who are you doing it for? Listen up, y'all. Go ahead, Harrison.
Yeah, well, I'm doing it because I want to make a difference in the world. There are multiple things that I'm doing it, but I have to do it. There's in the movie where Marcel Marceau is taking all these children out of Nazi Germany into Switzerland, and he's doing a painting, and his father says, "Why are you doing this? It's so dangerous." Blah blah blah. And he says to his father, "Why do you go to the bathroom?" And his father said, "Don't insult me." He said, "No, I really want to know, why do you go to the bathroom?" And the father said, "Because I have to."
Right.
Yeah. And so Marcel says, "That's why I do what I do, because I have to.
There's no choice. There's no choice. That's right. That's right.
So I have to. So that's why I'm doing that. And then, for who I'm whoever is in transition or needs transition, this is a perfect leverage space to get the wisdom and the experience of 80 superb people, articulate in every way, that understand the change process.
So Harrison, we got about 3 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
Here's your Jerry Springer moment as I drink my beet juice.
Okay.
Tell us what you think, and I'm really interested in knowing and hearing this. So I'm gonna give you the rest of the time until we have to sign off about the pandemic. Give us something encouraging. I've got a number of things. I love it, except for the tragedies, of course. But what do you feel its purpose is with us?
I feel there's a bigger picture and purpose to every single thing that happens. I believe that things that happen are not accidental, and they are orchestrated by Source. And Source, I have to believe that Source knows what he's doing. So first of all, I think we're going through an ethical revolution. I think we're going through a values revolution. I think we're going through an introspective time, a point where we have been forced into this stillness or this lockdown or whatever you want to call it, this aloneness for a while, and so that we can reevaluate what's going on. So we're going through a revolution in values. We're going through a revolution in education. We're going through a revolution in consciousness. We're going through a revolution in ethics. And that's what all this was about. So, when you look at the bigger picture, there is a continuous trajectory of growth for the human race. And, we are moving from, one kind of beingness, which was, 7,000 years of, male aggressive dominance of energy and people and things, into the space of nourishment and higher consciousness,
really
and greater awareness. I love that stuff too. So it's true.
I don't think I've been making it right. It usually makes me go, but this batch I made last night.
Love celery. Yeah, celery.
Well, no, I'm on to the beet juice, lemon, apple juice.
Yeah.
I forgot to put the ginger in. It just dawned on me. I got to redo it.
Okay.
Oh well.
We want to get the sweetness.
So Harrison, if people head over to IamHarrisonKlein.com, will they find something that can lead them to getting their tickets or reserving their seats for this incredible event?
No. If they want to head over, if they want to get tickets to this event, you can go to smallshiftsbigchanges.com.
Small shifts, big changes. Let me get that in there. Small shifts. Make sure I spell the right word. Big changes.
Yeah.
.com.
But that site is not quite finished yet. It'll be finished Wednesday. So
okay, well, write it down, you guys. Stick it on the fridge or something like that. But I'm going to. Don't we have something else planned closer to your event?
Yeah, we have the week before the event. We're also going to go through some stuff, and
I mean here.
Yeah, with you.
Because you're going to bring some of your wonderful lineup to be on the show to kind of get people geeked up about the event, right?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do that. Sure. So.
Awesome. Well, then you guys, I will let you know. Keep your ears on, as they say in the trucking world, for more information about this wonderful event coming up April 2nd through the 4th, sponsored by Harrison Klein. Shift happens. Small shifts, big changes, and that's a promise. Listen, man, this hour flew by. I want to thank you so much for sharing your soul with us here today on Bathrobe.
I could talk with you forever, Lauren. This is great.
Yeah, you say that now. You say that now. If I ever visit you in Florida, I can tell you what you and as soon as the door closes when I leave. I thought he would never shut up. So anyway, but thank you for that.
Don't you talk to me like you know me.
Okay. So listen. It has been a real joy today. I mean that with everything within me, and I mean that about all of us. Yeah. So you guys, again, last time, April 2nd through the 4th, shift happens. Small shifts, big changes with Harris and KLIEN. More to come as we get closer to that date. Now, get out there and do what it is we do. What is that?
Right.
We change the world and every person we can, every opportunity
That's
we
right.
encounter, by just making it a little bit better than the way it was when we found it.
Help somebody out. Absolutely.
That's right. I want to challenge every single person within the sound of my voice, live or recorded on the replay, to get out. Don't live in a world of surprise. Live in a world of expectancy, just like you do when you order from Amazon Prime. If you
That's
can do
right.
it with Alexa, do
Know
it with
that things are coming.
That's right.
You got a message, FedEx. You getting a package tomorrow at FedEx. You know it's coming.
You know it's coming because you expect it. Big difference when we do that. Be the gift you want to receive and be the blessing that you like to receive in the world or see in the world.
High five. High elbow.
Yeah, there you go. Have a great day, Harrison. I love you. I will see you in a couple weeks when we get you back here with some of your wonderful speakers to talk about this event. You guys, in the
Lauren.
meantime,
Love you, Lauren.
you
Take
too.
care. You got the gift of gab, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, thank you. You guys have a wonderful weekend. I'll meet you out on the front porch next Monday, this coming Monday, where my guest will be as we kick off Celebrity Week, Dr. Skip Mondragon. Wait till you hear what this Army vet doctor is doing in the world today. It's going to knock your socks off. He has a celebrity story. I guarantee it. I'll meet you on the front porch for our next episode of Bathrobe Moments. Bye-bye, y'all.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul.